We have nothing to talk about right now. That's,
So
I mean, how about that though? Like out of the blue, right? Like we've mentioned it. We've been anticipating there being a massive lull in what we had to talk about, right? Like we knew that the next episode after this sea pirate episode, it wasn't going to be until this coming fall. You and I, we've exchanged a few text messages, even like a couple days before the announcement, like,
yeah,
hey, what about specials? Like, when are we going to
what's
find
going
out?
on? Yeah.
You were running the math of drawn on the whiteboard, like when we found out about Jodie Whittaker's doctor, and like when it was announced and when the next episode was. And then
Yeah.
lo and
And I kind of
behold,
want to talk because there was a little bit of a kind of, oh yeah moment, the timing of everything. And like, if we're even going to have a holiday special this
yeah,
year, and let's save that for later, because I do kind of want to talk through some of that. But yeah, the big news obviously is we got the big new doctor announcement,
yeah,
and kind of like, not that we didn't see it coming to an extent, because there were little rumblings that there may be an announcement coming soon, and we figured that would be the next time we would record.
right, yeah,
But I mean, when Jodie Whittaker was announced, it was like all the fanfare, right? They announced
yeah,
that the video was, there's going to be a video announcement. They filmed a scene
yes,
with
yep, like,
her, and she's got the hood, and the
yeah,
whole thing. And then this was just like, hey, by the way,
yeah, and
like, it just was a headline I woke up to in the morning. I woke up and looked at my phone, and it was the first little, like, I get the notifications of stuff they think I'd be interested in. It's the first thing that popped up.
yeah,
And I'm like, wait, what?
yeah, it came out of the blue, right? Like, I feel like even with Capaldi, we knew the day the announcement was going to take place, right? Like they were going to have some announcement midpoint of some football match, right? Like they were going to make the announcement. With Jodie Whittaker's doctor, the exact same thing, right? Like we knew the day, we didn't know it was Whittaker at the time, but we knew this is the day the announcement was going to take place. And we had that anticipation leading up to it. Um, and I think that was even at like the halfway point of a soccer match. Um, but this literally feels like it came out of the blue. Like we didn't know it was coming.
It feels like it deserved more,
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like, I don't know if this is like the new way of it. Maybe Russell T Davies had some influence, and he was like, hey, I don't want to make a big deal about
Yeah,
this. But yeah, we've come to expect it to be kind of a bigger rollout.
right.
Uh, and now, yeah, for it just to be kind of announced on, websites.
Yeah, like
Uh,
you sent me my first heads up about it.
oh,
And
really?
honestly, yeah, and honestly, like when I looked at it, I was fully anticipating that part of the headline would be like a leak. Like the word got out before they anticipated or wanted it to get out. And in fact, that wasn't the case. Like this was anticipated. This is what they expected it to be. It was like at some awards show, right? Like it was just
They
kind of
had a
mentioned.
they had an interview
Yeah,
like at the award show. And I know that the time difference between, the UK and here in the US, I don't know when that was happening.
yeah,
For me, it was, first thing when I woke up that morning, is when I noticed it. So I don't know if yeah, I don't know. I'm not great with like time chasing, calculating, like, is that the night before over
right.
there or like later in the afternoon, but whatever. Yeah, they had that little interview at the award show. So,
Yeah,
uh, so I'm gonna let you say the name of the person.
yeah. They announced Ncuti Gatwa to be the new 14th Doctor.
14th
14th
Doctor.
Doctor.
Shoot. Now, we had said last episode, we were saying what's probably going to happen is they're going to announce somebody we've never heard of, and we're going to have to look up their IMDb.
Yeah, yep.
So where do you stand on that? Did you know this guy?
No, I did not. I could not have picked this guy out in a crowd. I mean, I couldn't even I didn't even know how to look him up, to be quite honest. It took me a long time to figure out how to look him up. That said, it's not like he's an unknown though, right? Like he's not an unknown actor like we anticipated. He is actually has become quite well known in the past couple of years.
Yeah, I don't know that I anticipated it being an unknown more than being someone I didn't know,
Okay.
because there's a lot of, there's a lot of actors out there. They're doing great stuff and I don't
Right.
watch everything. So they cast someone who's got a little bit of a resume, a couple shows they've been in, but I've just never watched those shows. So I kind of expected that because that typically is what happens. But this this guy, I would say, is a little less seasoned than anyone that they've had so far, or maybe not. Maybe I'm not giving him enough credit, but um, so Jodie Whittaker, I knew her from Broadchurch,
Yes.
so at least there was that kind of connection, and that was a pretty big show that she had done with David, that she was doing with David Tennant or had done at that point. And then Capaldi had, and I'm blanking on, I'm forgetting the name of the show though, that like political show that he did that was kind of like, he was known for being like really foul mouthed and stuff.
Right.
So there were shows that they were involved in. Now Gatwa is in a show called Sex Education, which apparently is very popular. I had heard the title, but I had never watched it, and I assumed it was a UK show. It's actually a Netflix show, but I think it is filmed, or it is essentially a UK show
with Gillian Anderson, and I mean, there's some fairly well-known people with it,
right? Like a legitimate, critically acclaimed, popular show. So to his credit, it's not like he was a completely,
it's not the EastEnders, right? Like that so many times. That's my reference point when it comes to like UK television, when they're like, oh, this individual was so and so on EastEnders. I mean, that's been half the companions that we've had. But
so I did look at his kind of resume or his IMDb to see, okay, what else has he been in? Now he doesn't seem like he's been in a lot else. So he's been in this one show that's been popular. He's a very popular character in that show. I think that show is it a 2-season show so far?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So, beyond that, he doesn't have a very long resume.
Right.
Relatively young actor.
Yeah.
29, although in the show that he, is in, that he's popular for, he's a teenager. He plays a teenager.
Right. Yeah.
So he plays much younger, at least he has in this show, than his age.
Right. He does have the movie coming up, the Barbie movie. I don't know if you've been following along with that one.
I saw that was on his upcoming.
Yeah, I mean, they just announced they just released like the first image from the show of, is it Margot
Robbie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, in like a pink car. And I was like, oh, that's actually a thing.
So it's live action.
Find out, yes.
Okay.
And come to find out, he's in it too. So that was surprising to see. So another bigger movie that's coming up
for him. Yeah. And then you had sent me a clip or something that he kind of stars in a video game.
Yeah. It's like Off-Grid Legends,
like an F1 racing video game, which I had never heard of, but it seemed like he had a pretty big part in it, and like it was like very photorealistic kind of graphics and stuff. So it's very much him that's in it. And he seemed to be pretty excited about being in that. So,
yeah. And I think that's the thing, that after the announcement was made, and it takes a little bit to, number one, actually accept the fact that, okay, the announcement has been made, right? Like we now know who the next Doctor is going to be. And because we aren't familiar with it, I literally just start looking up any and every clip that I can find this individual in on the internet. And the more that I've watched clips of him, I think I'm becoming genuinely excited just to see what he can bring to the character, because he seems genuinely excited in almost every clip. Like it doesn't seem like he ever finds himself in a position that he's just not overly thankful for the opportunity the opportunity he finds himself in. It seems like he enjoys what he does.
Right. That's always a plus when the actor is excited about being part of something. And they did have the interview at the award show or whatever they were at, with him and RTJ, Russell T Davies. No, Russell T Davies, wrong initials. But they had the interview with them two at that, wherever they were. And it was cool to see and hear what he had to say.
Yeah.
there weren't any major red flags that came up for me just from that interview. And some of the things that came out of that interview that I thought were interesting was Russell T Davies said that they had already kind of decided on someone else to cast, and then Gatwa came in and was the last person that they tested for the part and won them over.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh wow, who just got screwed out of a job?
who could have been the doctor? It's one of those names that has always come up, and once again foiled. No, but his genuine enthusiasm, and one thing that we've talked about back and forth over text message is just like, is he going to be a younger doctor? Like what is he going to play? Is he going to play a 29, 30-year-old doctor, fit his age, or are they going to make him a much younger doctor? Because that seems like, at least in the one well-known thing that he's done, he's played. It's going to be interesting because honestly, he is very exuberant. He has youthful energy. Although he might be 29 years old, he definitely could play a very young doctor, which would be interesting.
Right. So did you watch any of the show that he's known for?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not. I've seen clips, but I have not watched the show.
Okay. So I did watch just like most of the first episode, I think.
Okay.
Of Sex Education, just as a warning to anyone that's interested to watch it. The title, tells you what you need to know. Like, it's definitely got content for, it's adult content. It's not for kids. Make sure your kids are not in the room if you're going to be checking this out.
Or earshot.
I was very surprised. Literally opening scene, I was like, okay. Now he wasn't involved in this opening scene, but there was definitely a lot going on, and there's a lot, visually, language wise, everything. So yeah, it's definitely, I would say, mature content. So just be aware of that if you're going to check it out. But and I don't think I would stick with the show because that's just not my type of TV typically. So I probably won't watch much more than what I've already watched. But I did see he is a very main character.
Yeah.
He plays kind of the friend of who seems like the main character. And plays very young. He's supposed to be a teenager. I'm not sure exactly where in the, kind of spectrum of teenage, but seems to be older teenager, 17, 18, maybe. Now, most of the actors that they cast in this show to play teenagers do seem kind of what they typically do in Hollywood. They'll cast a 25-year-old to play a 17-year-old. So they do they kind of look older than teenagers. But I was actually really surprised when I looked up his age and saw that he was 29, because he just doesn't seem that old in the show. Yeah. So, it will be interesting to see. Now, do they stick with that kind of youthfulness, or do they really try to age him up? Because he's an actor. So they want him to play 30. He can play 30. He'll, can change and kind of tone down the, kind of exuberance, and maybe, whatever his outfit's going to be, they can kind of make him look more mature. So yeah, because I did look up kind of the ages of the different doctors as they started, and he would be, I think, second youngest ever.
Okay.
Behind Matt Smith, who started when he was 26.
That's crazy. I mean, you mentioned it, and we don't need to talk about it, but you're absolutely right. Like, we have the doctor announcement, but we still need to know costume, his outfit. We need to know companions. Like, what does this mean for Yaz? Like, what does this mean for Dan? Like, what does that look like moving forward? You throw a super young doctor into the mix. Does it make sense to have the companions carry forward? Would that be an interesting dynamic? But then you also have a new TARDIS, right? Like that's one thing that I didn't think of. Like, we probably will be seeing a new TARDIS. So many new possibilities, even now that we just got the doctor named.
New Sonic, maybe?
New Sonic, yeah, you're absolutely right. A new Sonic. I doubt they're gonna carry the Sheffield Sonic forward. Yeah, there's so many things that are still left unknown, but part of that persona is the outfit. Like, that defines the doctor, their appearance, what they look like. Yeah,
Traveling through time and all the different time periods that they could visit. The
Yeah.
dynamic is going to be very interesting from being younger. First black actor to be cast as the main role of the
Right.
Doctor.
Main role. Yep.
So that's a big change for the show.
Yeah.
So yeah, what does that mean for the stories that they can tell moving forward?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you imagine? Sorry, just taking a step back. Can you imagine if they have the 14th Doctor interact with the fugitive Doctor? That would be awesome.
I feel like it has to happen, right?
I know, right? Like it has to take place.
Unless Russell T Davies kind of does the whole, hey, this is my, I'm starting over, no carryover stuff. Like I'm going to do my thing, and maybe even bring back some of his stuff,
Yeah.
characters that he kind of invented. I don't know it, because there wasn't a lot of carryover even from like when Chibnall,
Right.
now he brought in Captain Jack, briefly.
Yeah.
But other than that, there wasn't a lot of like reference back to the previous Doctor. So yeah, who knows? But with Russell T Davies, he had a lot of different actors that played in the show with him previously who may be ready for a comeback.
Yeah.
So
yeah, which again, new era, new Doctor, new showrunner, and in that interview that Gatwa and RTD did together, the question was asked like, what are you most excited about? What villains are you most excited to interact with? And RTD made it very clear, new, like there's going to be new villains, new monsters. So is Russell T Davies really looking forward to like push on a new direction, his new thoughts, his new ideas, his new characters? Maybe we won't see many things pulled over from previous years, previous incarnations. He seemed very set on that idea of new, and then Gatwa echoed, oh yeah, new. But maybe it's just a misdirect. Maybe it's just a misdirect.